that sounds kind of stupid. But at any rate, welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of March 14th, 2016. I'm suffering from an excess of caffeine brought on by the fact that it is the Monday after daylight saving time takes effect. And if you do not know my well-publicized hatred of daylight saving time, I encourage you to search through the Solid Signal blog, as I've written several articles on the subject and how I think it is a blight upon our country that needs to be removed. So I'm a little over-caffeinated and a little bit too stimulated. Let's move on. A couple of big stories to talk about this week, and the first one is that DirecTV is going to be starting live 4K broadcasting as early as next month. They say they're going to be broadcasting the Masters in 4K. Now, if you happen to be a golf fan, that's fantastic news. If you happen to be a 4K fan, that's fantastic news, and even better if you happen to be a fan of both. I personally am not. I'll be honest with you, golf is just not my thing, especially when I'm amped up on way too much coffee, as I'm sure you can tell I am today. But it's good to know that there is going to be 4K content out there, because right now DirecTV does not have any real live 4K content, just a couple of pay-per-view items, and that's not really enough to hang your hat on. I wish I had similar good news to share with regards to 4K over-the-air television, but the thing is, folks, the 4K over-the-air television faces the kind of hurdles that you are not going to find in other kinds of broadcasting, whether it's internet streamed or satellite delivered, because the government has to be involved. When you talk about 4K, you have to have a whole new tuner in your television. It would have to go through a converter box process. So if you're holding out waiting for 4K over-the-air television, just don't. And by the way, don't be fooled if an antenna tells you it's 4K ready or not 4K ready. The truth is there's no such thing. It's just that simple. The other thing that everybody's talking about this week is how there's the ongoing row between the FBI and Apple Computer with regard to whether or not there should be a tool to unlock iPhones in case of terrorist attack. You know, it really depends on what side of this you really want to be on. I can really see both sides in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to go political on this blog. That's a promise to you. But there are a number of excellent arguments on both sides, and I hope that you take the time to actually read or listen to both of them. Both of the major arguments, I should say, the pro and the con. Read a lot about it and decide where that you personally stand on it, because one thing I can tell you, no matter what, is that this is going to be a landmark case. This is going to be the kind of case that they talk about for 100 years. No matter what happens, this is going to really shape technology and law and all sorts of stuff for years and years to come. We're really at a very early state when it comes to technology law, because the big names in technology law honestly haven't grown up with the technology. If you are 50 to 60 years old, and that makes you probably a heavy hitter when it comes to technology law or law in general, then you didn't grow up with computers. You weren't a gamer when you were a child. You did not have a smartphone when you were a kid. Those are things that happen if you happen to be 20 or even 30 years old, but they're not going to happen if you're 50 or 60. So the entire legal establishment is really going to be 30 to 40 years behind. It's going to be very hard to deal with that in the future, to try to help technology law move forward at the pace that it needs to move, and cases like this are of utmost importance. Last bit of news today concerns the Solid Signal blog, and what I wanted to do is go out to you, my many or few podcast faithful, and tell you what a great job our IT department is doing. We have recently had a complete behind-the-scenes overhaul of the Solid Signal blog, and that may lead in the future to where we can make additional changes to the front end a little bit easier. But in the meantime, I wanted to thank the hardworking folks over at Solid Signal's IT department for doing such a fabulous job and keeping our blog servers up to date so that they continue to give you the best stuff. As you know, we've been publishing the Solid Signal blog continuously since 2007, with the exception of a small gap. And since our relaunch in 2012, we have published well over 14,000 articles, long-form tutorials, graphs, charts, videos, everything that you need. If you haven't seen it, blog.solidsignal.com. And until next week, have a great one.